All right, Vanessa, thank you so much for agreeing to let me interview you and question you on your testimonial and your experience with working with me. Um, I do want you to know how incredibly proud I am of you, of the transformations I've seen, and the things that you have overcome, and where you were when we first started as to where you are now. I know when you first came to me, you were wanting to lose weight, you're wanting to get healthier. Confidence was a real big thing for you, that you were like, I want to be confident in all areas of my life. And I feel like there was just a mindset shift that came along the way that I feel has you seeing those things in different ways and actually being able to see all the positive things that you have accomplished. So give us a little rundown, if you will, of where you kind of were prior to working with me.
Prior to working with you, I would have to say I was kind of in chaos. My mind was chaotic. It seemed like my life was chaotic. My surroundings were chaotic. So it was just like this black hole of chaos, I would have to say. And I didn't know how to get out of it. Like every time I would think I was doing something that would get me out of it, just caused more chaos for me. And there was stress with just myself. There was stress with, my relationships with my family, and just, I didn't know how to, or where to turn, or what to do. And I was just kind of losing everything, literally, like just losing everything. My mind, the way I saw things, it was a very negative kind of existence, I guess I would have to say.
Yeah.
And I needed to change, and I knew I needed to change. And I, had adopted my son, and I knew that I did not want him to be in a house that was full of negativity. And that was a major, major, priority, that to say, it's like, well, how am I going to bring up this little boy in if I'm all chaotic? I can't. Something needs to change, and it needs to change now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, well, let me see what I can do. So that's when I reached out to you and gave you a call and said, hey, I need help.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do it on my own. Like I tried and I can't, and I need a little help. And I think that one, number one, was the biggest step for me, just to even admit that I needed help, that I couldn't control my own life.
Right. And now I feel that you're not really even in that place anymore. Like
Oh
there's
gosh,
been
no.
a lot of things. So how do you feel about that? How do you feel about how that changed for you?
It feels great. Number one, it feels really awesome, and it's kind of scary how it happened, because I wasn't anticipating, and this is nothing, I'm like, I didn't know what was going to happen with our sessions and what was going to, come out of it. Because, again, I was in that negative state of mind. It's like, what could she do to help me? Like, she's just a person like me. So whatever. So I never really gave, I was like, but then as, conversations started happening, I started opening up to you. I let you into my world, and things just started falling into place. It was like, and I didn't even know I wasn't even aware of it. Like, so now, like, it was like, things are just like, wow, I can handle it. I can do this. I can keep going. Like, you got this.
Yeah.
And it's, part of it's scary, because it's like, whoa. And part of it's like amazing. And part of it is, then it's like, what's next? Like, what more can I do? What more can we accomplish?
Yeah.
What more can, not that I want more, more things on my shoulder, but more things can open up to me experiencing.
Yeah. Yeah. So you almost have me ugly crying right here, because like, I thank you for taking that leap of faith and trusting me and bringing me into your world, because I know that sometimes that's hard, because we don't want to let people in. It's hard. It's that reaching out and asking for help is hard. Okay. And then once you do it, it's like, there's a deeper dive that goes into it. And there were probably some hard conversations that you and I had, or that I gave you to do for homework, that you were like, I don't, like, you never would have thought of doing them before, but going through that and transforming the way your thoughts. And I was always, it's, we respond to things instead of reacting so
Mhm.
quickly, right? That gives just a whole new world of, and I just like keep saying, like, this confident person that has come out of this shell that was always there, but it was like you just didn't trust that it was there, you weren't allowing it to be there. So when you kind of said, like, well, I figured, like, I need help, I'm going to ask. And so what was it that brought you to say, like, I want to work with her versus like everything else that you had tried in the past?
Your approach to things, and your, I guess, I don't want to say candid, but you're like, I guess, straight. You're a straight shooter. You're not like, you don't sugarcoat things. You weren't, you know, walking on eggshells to like protect me, or like to, not hurt my feelings. Like sometimes you, not that you intentionally hurt my feelings, but it's like, okay, well, I guess I did need to hear that. Like, all right, but and I think it was that approach, and just your genuine care
Hmm.
for people,
Yeah.
and to get them on the right track, and to do it at my pace, not your pace.
Right.
And
Right.
that's when we had our very first conversation before we even started any of the sessions. That's what I noticed, where it was like you were constantly asking me what I wanted to get out of it, what I needed, what, I foresee is going to happen, and why I want to do it, versus you just coming out and says, okay, we're going to do this, this, and this, and this, and you're going to eat this, 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 and this. And if you don't, then you're not going to get anywhere. And you never said anything like that.
Right.
And that's where I think that trust started on that first call, to where I'm like, well, what do I have to lose? And I was like, nothing. Let's just give this a try.
Right. 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 And I do appreciate you for bringing that out, because I always, sometimes people don't like the questions, right? They don't want to answer them, but I want to know where you want to go, and I'm going to hold you to that, right? I'm not going to tell you you're doing things wrong. I'm going to show you how to make it work for you, and how you can discover it on your own. Because if
Mhm.
I'm always there telling you what to do, like, I'm guiding you in the right direction, like, you've got this fork in the road, which way are you going to go? Which way is going to work for you? And sometimes we had to go back to the drawing board and change some things, and that was totally okay, because it worked for where you were at. And I always like to meet them where they're at. And the fact that you were just like so open and honest with me, I think, is what made it so much easier to transform. And I know there were some times, like, you had these things like on this list, like, here's what I want to do. And we kind of started small, because that's
Mhm.
just how I do it. And then, do you remember, I can't remember what, couple weeks into it, and I said, do you see how you addressing this area has already put you in, like, set you up for success over here, where, and you're like, oh, I didn't really
I didn't
notice
even
it.
notice.
Right. Right. So sometimes it's like that extra set of eyes, showing us, because we don't see that in ourselves sometimes.
No.
And I
And I
feel
know
like,
I didn't. And I know I didn't. I
I feel
didn't.
like
I
you do now,
never.
though.
I do. And
Yeah.
then it's like I never really realized that I always relied on someone else being my cheerleader, and now I'm my own cheerleader.
Yes.
And sometimes I think I thought that was like conceited to be, but now it's like, no, you do need to be your own cheerleader. Like, you need
Absolutely.
to give yourself those pats on the back, and you need to give yourself those attaboys. And it's like, and even for the little things, like, all right, you got out of bed, way to go. Like,
Right.
you moved your body, way to go. Like,
Right.
and before I looked at it like, oh, you got up, or oh, you did this. Like, it was never a positive. It was just like, it's what you have to do. And
Right.
now it's like, whoa, and it sounds so silly, and so like, and it's like, but yeah, I get up and it's like, well, thank you for getting up. And that's like,
Yes. Right.
like
It's like you
you're
get
going to
to
make
do
this
it.
day a good day. And then there's some days I wake up grumpy and it's okay. And I think allowing myself to have those good and bad days and realize that, no one's perfect and it's okay not to be perfect. Like,
Mhm.
and then you think about it, it's like, do you really want to be perfect? That's a lot of stress to be
Yeah.
perfect. Like, and I'm like, I don't want that stress out of me at all.
Right, right, right. So I feel like you have seen so many positive changes, even just like what you were saying about, oh, I would get up in the morning and be like, now it's like you're ready to tackle the day. And
Hmm.
you know that not every day is going to be perfect because this is life. We're human. And I always say, like, there's no pass fail when you work with me, on the coaching level. There's no start stop because I want you to learn to where it's like you're ready to spread your wings. You're ready to do this on your own. You've learned so much about yourself. So, and I know a lot of it, like when you said confidence, um, your health, being there for your son. Um, there was you wanted to change some of your eating habits and find ways to work out. So with that, what positive changes in your habits have you made, right, that you're like, these are totally doable in my life? Like there was mindset shifts, there was all kinds of things that went on. Talk a
Oh,
little bit about that.
well, I think the biggest one is changing my view on exercise and working out,
Hmm.
because I always thought there had to be a strict routine. You had to just to follow like the hour video or go to the gym. I might even go to a gym, but I used to think I had to.
Right,
But it's like there's things like now I know there's little things that I can do throughout the day that add up to a full workout.
right,
And, you know, doing a couple squats while I'm brushing my teeth, or
right.
doing like playing games with my even like with my son. We have our dance party USA, and we dance around for half an hour, and I mean that half an hour I sweat like a pig.
Yeah, I mean, and
Like,
it's
and
like
it's
it doesn't always have to be that rigorous, crazy.
no, and I found ways to make it fit into my day without it
Absolutely.
stressing me out, to
Right.
where before it was like, oh, I have to get, I have to do this, I have to get down there, I have to do, and it was like I was so consumed on figuring out that 30 minutes or that hour time, to where now it's like, oh, I do 10 minutes here and 10 minutes
Yeah.
there, and maybe a half hour of dancing and this and that, and even and it's helping me realize and being able to spend the time that, number one, I want to spend with my son, and work out and be healthy,
Mhm.
and so it's all fitting together for me. And
Yeah.
that's the big thing. The other aspect of what I've the is how I eat. I didn't do anything drastic. I didn't do anything, I didn't go and take everything out of the pantry and like start brand new. Like I'm able to work with what I have and make it healthy,
Yeah.
to where when again it stressed me out, because it's like, well, you have to have all this. Like
Right.
some of it was I just bought extra bags of salad mix, and then they have that broccoli mix, that broccoli salad, and like the kale salad, and it's like, oh, look at that, got me some vegetables
Yeah.
without even stressing about adding vegetables to it.
Right.
And yeah, and then the other aspect is I realized that I I never said it to myself and I never said it out loud, but I was a stress eater. And I realize now, after all of this whole journey, that yeah, I can say I was a stress eater. And now, like when I even stress, I don't feel like I'm as stressed as I was before. And I don't go to those items that I used to eat all the time. And I mean, now I go to them to eat them for enjoyment, not for, I guess, I don't even know what the word is.
You use when we talked about it, you used vice.
Yeah, it was my vice. It
Yeah.
was my
Yeah.
vice. Like, and then like I'll admit, my ice cream was my vice.
Yeah.
I would have a bad day, I would eat a pint of ice cream.
Yeah.
I would, be stressed out because my mother stressed me out, and I would go and have a pint of ice cream.
Right.
And then I would sit there and get to the bottom of it and be like, oh my God, I just ate this whole pint of ice cream.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, and for that brief moment, I guess I felt good, but then I would get to the bottom and scraping the bottom of it and be like, you are a horrible person. And now, like, it's like, hey, now the ice cream isn't as big of an issue. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
like I see it in the freezer all the time, and it's like, ice cream, I'll have you another day. Like,
Yeah.
thank you for all your help that you've given me in the past, but today I don't need you. But I'm glad you're there sometimes for me,
Yeah.
like,
Right.
but it's not a go-to anymore. Now
Right.
now it's like, hey, you know what? Let's do some squats maybe. Maybe that will change my outlook.
Yeah.
Or let's run around for a minute. And it's I'm I'm getting back to the fact of I do like to eat, but it's not my world.
Right.
Where before I think I was just eating to eat and to pass the time away.
Right. Right. So it's almost like you learned, again, like everything that you just said, like we made it fit your life. Because
Hmm.
there was a time where I had said, well, do you do better with, A, B, and C having the exercise schedule, or you scheduling it in? And we kind of like integrated that. And then it was like, wait a minute, this program, like I can't. Right. And we said, we went back to that drawing board because we just have learned that this is the only way to do it. And then we rearrange our lives for that. And then it brings on more stress. And
Hmm.
it's like, okay, well, I can't have this or I can't do that. We think of those can'ts instead of how can I make it work? What can I do? How does it fit into my life? So we basically took Vanessa's world
Hmm.
and made everything fit into it
Yeah.
in a non-stressful way. And of course, there were times where it was like, we have to rearrange.
Modify it a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it was never like I mean, I shouldn't say it was. Part of it was hard because I had to be honest with myself
Yeah.
and kind of look myself in the mirror and been like, all right. But it wasn't hard in the fact of I think it was harder the way I was doing it than the way I'm doing it now. Like,
Mhm.
it was just harder on me and harder on my spirit and everything. Because if I didn't get to it, I would then beat myself up
Mhm.
and then been like, well, you can't even get to half an hour in. Like, what's wrong with you? And this and that. And it's like,
Right.
and then, then the downward spiral will come down. And then there I was in the freezer getting my ice cream.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I go,
And
that I was, yeah, I could sit there and eat ice cream for a half hour, but I couldn't work out.
right.
And
And
it
I mean,
was,
a lot of people do that. It's just because I feel like the way we've been taught, and I'm always like, I don't like to say I kind of unteach you everything that you've learned, but not so much that. It's just like everything that we've learned sometimes needs to be tweaked so it works for us. And
hmm
then we have to always go back to like, what is that why? Like, what was it? Like, confidence was huge for you. And I
yeah.
feel like I feel like it just comes out like there's this glow of confidence that comes out of you. I feel like if you walk into a room, people are like, because you were always like, well, it was like you didn't know what that really was for you. And we found that, I feel.
I don't think, in all honesty, I never understood what confidence really meant.
Hmm.
I always heard, oh, she has so much confidence. That one has confidence. And look at her. She's just oozing confidence all over. And I guess I really never understood what that meant.
Right.
And I found out what it meant for me throughout this whole thing.
Hmm.
And it was always there. It was just hidden under some things, like all those boxes.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
it was there in the attic, but I just had to move things around.
Yeah.
But and I think, and it came out little by little. Like every session that we did, all the homeworks that you made me do, like all those boxes started moving. And it wasn't just like I moved it over here. It was like I picked up a box, I looked in it, I took out everything in it, I folded the box, put it in recycling, and then moved on to the next box.
Hmm.
And then with all of that, that's when I think the confidence started happening. And that's when I started believing in myself and believing in what I was doing and believing that what I was doing is what's good for me and my
Right. Right. And ultimately that's kind of what has to matter first.
son.
And I feel like there was some other things that you were like, well, what if this or what if that, or like there was, and I'm by nature an overthinker too. And I
Oh
get
yeah.
where you're like, okay, I just like, what do I do now? Right. And it was like there was no plan of action, but at one time I told you, I was like, these are the steps that I work on with my clients. Like I secretly didn't tell you those. And I was like, do you see how we've gone through all of those? Because when it's on a one-on-one level, it goes in the order that works for you. It may not always spell out the acronym that I have for it.
Well,
And it
and
may,
in all honesty, I'm really glad that you didn't, because I would have wrote them down
yep,
and would have been like, well, I didn't hit this one yet,
yeah,
and why didn't I hit it yet, and
yeah,
why aren't we even touching this? Like, why isn't she going over this with me yet? Like, and then I would be like, well, and then I wouldn't focus on what was truly important, which was me. I would
yeah,
be focusing on all these steps, and I wouldn't really get them. So you did it for me. I mean, I don't know how it works for everybody else, but the way for me, it was the best thing you could have done, because
yeah.
I would have just, and then I would have called you and been like, why am I not hitting step 2 yet?
Right.
And it seems like, and you keep talking about step 3. What's going on?
Yeah, yeah.
What's
And
wrong with me?
again, it always goes back, like I said, it always goes back to that C, right? The core, the foundation, the root, the why. We started there and we kept going back there to get to the next step. So each little thing that we chipped away at always went back to that, like, why? Why do we want this? So if you were to tell anyone out there, like, what would you say to anyone who's on the fence of like, do I work with her? Do I try one of her programs? Like, what would you say to them?
I would say take that jump, and that they are worth it, and they owe it to themselves to take that jump and to trust it, and to allow themselves to trust the system, like your system,
Right.
and to
The
trust,
system.
and not the system, but your system, and trust you, because you're not, your focus is on your clients and not on, you know, making yourself famous or making yourself, you know, the, well, just to make yourself famous. I always felt like, I mean, you probably have a gazillion clients, but I never felt like I was just a number to you. And for someone else out there that's on that fence, it's like, you're going to be like, you get a friend. Like it's not just, you're telling them what to do. It's like you're going to gain a friend out of it. And you always kind of listen to your friends more than you listen to anybody else. So just trust it, and just, you know, take that leap of faith. It'll be worth it.
Oh, that just like that. I appreciate that. I appreciate you.
Oh, I didn't mean to make you cry.
That's okay. No, because you trusted me, you trusted yourself, and I'm sure it was scary, but the transformation that you have gone through is absolutely amazing. Like when you said, I am never alone on this journey, and I know that, but I'm gonna do it by, like, you're gonna take that step now. Like the next step is leaving the nest, right?
Mhm.
Spreading the wings. And I said to you, I saw this in you a few weeks ago. Like we had finished that one call and I was like, so how do you feel about everything? Like, where do you want to go from here? And I was just kind of like, I almost didn't know. Not that I didn't know, but I didn't know where else. I felt like you have learned so much that you're just ready, and you know where to find me
Mhm.
should you need like a refresher or you have one of those moments or whatever, because you will never be alone. Like I always say, and when you said you gain a friend, I always tell people, like, listen, we're BFFs now. Like, you don't, we don't just cut ties. I don't just like say, here's the work, do it, bye, see you. And here's your test at the end of the semester. And I say that all the time, but I feel like you have definitely seen some things in yourself. And I always tell people, like, you've had it in you all along, like just click those ruby slippers and there's no
Mhm.
place like home type thing. And it's like, you do have it, but sometimes we just need it. We need to see it on a bigger level, and we don't see it in ourselves. And when somebody shows us that and we pick that up, we run with it. It's like my belief in my clients a lot of times is bigger than their belief in themselves. But then I see them pick that up and they run with it. So I feel like everything that you have transformed, again, and this was something we've talked about, everything that you've transformed is now you see people around you like doing things or seeing the change in you and being like, I want to kind of be like that, or I want to kind of do that. And that's an amazing thing. I want to continually point that out to you and have you at the end of the day see that in yourself all the time, because we've talked about um, how you what I want you to kind of think about every day about how these things are put into place. And I want you to continue those steps. And I feel that it's going to be an amazing journey for you. So we will be checking in every now and again.
Wow.
um, I do. I want to thank you so much for, taking the time out to do this little interview here. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of people hearing this will resonate with your story and be like, you know what, I'm there. And Vanessa accomplished so much. So I know their belief, I think, will come out more, because a lot of times when we share our stories, we don't realize how many people we're touching. It's
Mhm.
like you may be changing people's lives without even really realizing it, just by sharing your story. So thank you so much for that, for, being allowing us in, not just me, but, my people, my audience.
My
Um,
pleasure.
yeah. So we will definitely be in touch with Vanessa. We may do another interview with her a year from now just to see where things are, because I'm pretty excited to where she's going. I'm sure people will wonder. Um,
Again, I wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart because, as I said in the beginning of the interview, I told you that I was in a bad place and it was a chaotic place and I was in a dark place. And I think if I wouldn't have reached out to you, I don't think I would have gotten out of that dark place. And I cry.
it's all right.
But um, they're good. They're happy tears. They're not sad tears
Yeah, yeah.
because not only did you make me a better person and a better version of myself, but that version is going to now help my son grow and everyone else around me.
Yes.
And it's only the beginning. And again, I have you to thank because if I wouldn't have taken that leap of faith and, asked for that help, like, I don't know. I don't know. And I don't want to think about it because
Right,
we're not in that spot anymore.
right.
Um, but I am super thankful for the spot that I'm in now and the outlook that I have because it's like the world is for my taking and watch out world because I want to take a lot.
Yes.
So
That's
again,
awesome.
thank you very much.
That's awesome. Well, we will definitely be in touch